Alright, it is September 5th, 2020, getting to the close of summer, and actually we're getting close to the 6-month anniversary of when the US officially declared an emergency. So I thought I'd talk about how life has been for me over the last 6 months. I want to say that 2020 is actually one of the better summers I ever had. I did a lot of learning about myself and learning new things and connecting with people more, even if it had to be online or at least 6 feet apart. I would say that I've been connecting with people a lot better this year than I have in years past. At the beginning of the quarantine, it was only supposed to be 2 weeks, right, at the very beginning. Let's just, we called it flattening the curve, right, at the beginning. And I remember we were just treating it like a 2-week vacation, a staycation. We could all watch some YouTube videos that we never had the time to. For me, it was mostly Khan Academy. For other people, it might have been something else. We could take it easy a little bit, maybe catch up on some sleep or catch up on some household chores or stuff like that, right? So at the beginning we weren't very concerned, except for the fact that I couldn't find toilet paper and I couldn't find a few of my favorite foods. The foods actually bothered me a lot more than the toilet paper. I get very fixated on food sometimes. And so I called my mom that first day, and she was offering to help me, and she asked me if she should overnight me some toilet paper. It's nice to have a mom that would think like that, but I told her no. I was more concerned about her going to a crowded post office, so I told her no. I'm very positive about the toilet paper. I told her that, I had to go to the shower to wash after pooping last night, but you know what? I think there might be somebody else who needs that toilet paper more than me, I love trying new things anyhow, and I have the luxury of being able to actually do that, right? Some people might have a disability, or for whatever reason they can't go into the shower, or maybe somebody who's homeless, right? They definitely need that toilet paper more than I did, right? If I were still living in my car like I was last year, right? I do it by choice, but some people not so much, right? I would probably need that toilet paper a lot more than I do today, right? So I was very positive about the toilet paper. The funny thing is that first week, one day I went out to get a food that I was craving. I used to have snack attacks like that all the time. I was trying to get a brand of sausages, and the store was sold out. And I walked to another store and they were sold out. And I went to another store and they were sold out. And I came to realize that, you know what? I live in a country where there's so many foods I can eat without endangering my health, right? I don't have to resort to eating bat soup or a chimpanzee or any of those things that might start a new disease, right? And I really need to appreciate that. And so I began a fast. I've been doing intermittent fasting quite a bit this year. So when I couldn't find the sausages, I decided, you know what? A lot of people are dying left and right. Maybe it's time to do a fast to commemorate, right? If you go back to my videos in March, I had a fast for in memorial of the COVID-19 victims, right? I'll let you look that up. I distinctly remember doing it because it made all the sadness of the events kind of pass a little bit. One of my New Year's resolutions in 2020 was to normalize my relationship with food. So when I learned that COVID-19 was started by somebody who ate something that was not very sane to eat, and I realized that I would have to adapt to the current situation and be thankful for all the food that's available, right? I don't have to go picking those leaves or go hunting. Although I do want to learn some of those skills, because who knows how things are going to turn out. Or having to resort to eating something that might start a pandemic, and it was very big awakening for me when, and I started to appreciate what we have, even if some of my favorite foods are sold out, right? Sometimes when I go to the store and I see somebody just going, ah, shit, you know, when they see their favorite food is out, I sometimes want to remind these people, you know, this is a great opportunity. Look at all this healthy food around, right? We don't have to be resorting to bat soup. The reaction I get from people when I say that is actually mixed. Some people do take that as an opportunity to try something new. Other people are very upset. They get very fixated. And I can relate to both because I've been through both of those phases of life now. So that's very nice to have seen both sides. And so the first week, or the second week, I think, of the quarantine, Donald Trump had suggested that we should all go to church on Easter Sunday. And when I first heard it, I remember thinking, you know, I very rarely step foot in the church, but, you know, if a lot of people are going there on Easter Sunday after the quarantine, that would be a great opportunity for me to mingle with people. I have a difficult time having connections, and I remember thinking, you know, one thought that I keep coming back to is that the longer this quarantine goes on for, more people who were in shaky relationships, who had no business being with each other, are going to separate, right? And so after the quarantine, we'll come out even stronger because only the strong relationships have held together. It's kind of like the financial markets, right? Every time there's when the tide goes out, right? People who are the weak positions get dissolved, right? I was thinking that was going to happen. I guess it remains to be seen because we haven't really fully reopened to normal yet. Anyway, so I spent a few more weeks in Seattle, and then we returned to work, but only remotely, right? I teach at a university. And so I decided that, you know, I don't have to live in Seattle anymore, right? I can, especially after I went to get tested for COVID-19, and I realized I had already caught the antibodies. So I went on Airbnb to look for a long-term Airbnb to semi-permanently relocate to a not-so-crowded place, right? And you guys saw I spent a week in Lake Tahoe. I got to view the night sky there, and I showed you guys a video of the sun setting on top of a mountain, and I used it to show you guys that the earth is round. I spent a month in Ellensburg where I got to see the big comet this year. I wrote a number of computer games, obviously, and I taught myself quite a bit about machine learning, convolutional neural networks, the latest research on that. I'm actually writing a convolutional neural network for that has potential for doing contact tracing. I don't have any actual data yet, but I generated some hypothetical data to see what the network could do with it. And I'm a little bit excited. I'm looking for ways to get actual data now that I've seen that the model works on a bunch of hypotheticals. I did a lot of walking. All told, this year, next week actually, the Boston Marathon is holding this virtual marathon where you just record yourself running 26.2 miles. I'm hoping to participate in that. All told, during the last 6 months in quarantine, I have walked, just the other day I was estimating this, about 2,000 miles. And I remember thinking it was like walking from London to Moscow. Well, obviously there were no mountain ranges or anything that I walked through, so not quite an exact comparison. And so right now I'm in Missoula, Montana. Again, kind of permanently, right? But the whole quarantine experience has taught me that to be more malleable with things, right? I actually, at the beginning, I was a little bit worried about how my social life would look like. But then I realized it's even better. I get to mingle with people and live in Missoula, right? I don't even have to be in Seattle anymore. And I could, you know, part of the reason I'm still single nowadays is that every time I get into a relationship, I come to realize how much I like my personal space as well. And then when I'm alone, I miss the relationship. I can't seem to be happy. And so I keep bouncing back and forth, being in a relationship for a year and then being single for a year. And I need to find a happy medium in between the two. I really do. At the beginning of the quarantine, when I couldn't see my girlfriend, she lives with her parents and some elderly people, so when I couldn't see my girlfriend, at the beginning I was kind of messed up, but then I realized, oh my god, I love my personal life. Walking, writing computer games, and you know, I was talking about how I hope lots of people who are in weak relationships break up. I don't get why people hate breaking up so much. To me, every time I break up means I'm one date closer to the perfect match, right? It's like a checkbox, right? For me, at least. And I learn something from the relationship. I get to apply it. Even my parents sometimes, they feel bad for me for breaking up. No, I moved on. I checked off a box. My parents can't seem to understand that concept. They feel bad for me because I spent so much time and energy. And see, this is why I think it's important to keep to stay healthy, so that the next time you go date, you're doing it with a body that's just as young as you were when you went on the last date, right? Or even younger sometimes, right? That's why I care so much about keeping my body young. Actually, at the beginning of the quarantine, I was really worried if I would continue to be able to get healthy foods, right? I can't tell you how many times when I end up in the hospital, or when I was a kid, actually, I spent a few days in jail, and very difficult to get any sense of healthy foods there. Even in the hospital, you would think people would, the doctors there would be thrilled that you're eating healthier, right? Nope. They want to make you more sick, so you end up back there again, it seems like. And I was very worried that I might be locked up, you know, if I test positive for COVID-19. For the first few months of that quarantine, every time I went out, I had this big backpack of canned food, just in case I would get locked up. I would have at least 3 or 4 days worth of food in that bag. And I remember thinking of it almost like a nuclear football, because it would go with me everywhere I went. And I got very nervous if I had to put that backpack down, and even in my car, you know, and fortunately that has passed. But then I realized that's kind of being selfish, right? I really should be letting my voice be heard, right? If I go to the hospital and I spend a day or two being really vocal about the idea of, hey, I probably shouldn't be poisoning my immune system when I have COVID-19, you know, and all these other people who have other diseases, they really shouldn't be poisoning their immune system, you know, when COVID-19 is everywhere. You know, I think it's important to make our voice heard. If you're secretly eating healthy, I hate to say it, but you're kind of selfish. So I'm not too worried about it anymore. If I end up getting locked up today, it will be a good chance for me to practice what I preach, and be a little bit more vocal about it, especially after the Black Lives Matter stuff that happened this year, right after George Floyd. It really made me realize how important it is to be vocal, because you saw all these white people who were protesting for George Floyd. I gotta mention, most of the protests were peaceful. There were a few people who took advantage of it to steal something or to vent some violence. That's the minority of people, right? So anyways, it's September already. But like I said at the beginning of the video, this is probably the best summer I ever had because of how much I grew. I mean, to have a good summer is not to have a smooth summer, right? Those are two very different concepts, right? If your summer goes really smooth, you don't gain anything, right? I'd rather have a summer that looks like this, where I pick up a lot, I learn a lot, I grow a lot, I voice my concerns, like I mentioned about being quarantined. Now that I look back at it, when I was in the hospital many years ago and I voiced my concern about healthy foods, that's something I should be proud of, right? Not something that I should feel was an inconvenience, right? I was immature at the time, and I probably didn't voice it the right way. I think I could do it a whole lot better this year. I'm a little bit saddened that it didn't come to pass, right? Especially after I viewed what happened after George Floyd. Oh yeah, one more thing. Instead of viewing this as a sacrifice, try to view it as I'm one of the lucky people in human history that actually gets to live through this COVID-19 situation, right? Think about how many historians would love to jump in a machine and fly through the Great Depression, right? You're lucky to be able to. You're one of the probably the 0.01% of all humans that ever lived to be able to see this event, right? Try to treat it that way, right? When we take a vacation, we usually fly through space, right? This is a flight through time, right? That's how I like to view it, right? All right, enjoy your little vacation in 2020, I guess. Thanks for watching.